That said, you once said that a great worship leader must be a great actor. And I know that's polarizing for some people to hear that. What exactly do you mean by that? What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so even hearing you say that, like, triggers stuff in me, like, "What? No." Even though, like, that's you're just quoting me. The statement
It
sounds
might be a little bit out of context,
no,
it's good.
well of course it is, but, like, it's true.
Yeah.
It's still very true, and what I mean by that is, um and when I actually took acting classes and have been pursuing acting, like, kind of, like, not undercover, but just, like, underground acting pursuit, like, during this whole time that I'm doing music as well, and I'm taking these really high level classes with incredible, actors and teachers and coaches. I had a sad scene where I was supposed to be sad, and she stopped me almost immediately. It's like, "That don't show me what sad looks like. Be sad." Because if I try to show her what I think sad should look like on my face, people are gonna know I'm pretending and that they're not gonna believe anything in the scene.
Mm,
That's a bad actor. Good actors, great actors, the best actors don't just show you what sad looks like. They actually do the emotional work to be sad, and they're sad, and then they
mm,
do the scene, and they're imagining themselves in that position of what the song is saying, or sorry, what the scene is saying. So what she said, "Don't show me what sad looks like, be sad."
mm,
And it's the same thing with worship leaders. When we get up on stage in the morning, we know we can't be blank. We know that. I don't think there's any worship leader that's passionate about the craft or even semi-passionate about worship leading that thinks that going up with just a blank face, no energy at all is acceptable. So in that case, we have two options when we go on stage and we're singing. Usually the first song is very up tempo and joyful. Like, so let's say we're singing "The Joy of the Lord is my strength," but that morning you don't feel very joyful and you don't feel very strong. In that moment, you have two options. You can pretend, you can show what you think the joy of the Lord looks like on your face and in your body to the congregation, or you can do what great actors do, which is actually think back, take the time to do the emotional work of, "Why should I have the joy of the Lord? What is the joy of the Lord?" Well, when I think about where I would be without the guidance of biblical decrees and principles
mm,
and an upbringing in, like, following the Bible and what it says, and then me reading and understanding and praying and dying to self in my marriage, dying to self in everyday life, where my marriage would be, where my life would be without him. And there are a lot of people who don't have that. I heard
mm,
my pastor, Pastor Alex Seeley at The Belonging said this Sunday, she said, "I was just thinking how grateful I am to know Jesus." And at first I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool." And then she's like, a lot of my family is not saved. They don't know Jesus. And I'm so glad that I do." And then I thought like, "Oh my goodness, there are so many people that I know that really don't know Jesus in a way that shapes their life and changes their life. And I'm so glad that I do." Oh, okay. Now I can sing "The Joy of the Lord is my strength," because I've gone through this whole dialogue with myself and this inner thought of, "Oh my goodness, I am so grateful to know Jesus. And I'm so grateful to know the truth that all things work for the good of those who are called and are called according to the purpose and those who love him." I'm so grateful to know that he's an ever present help in time of need. And I remember when he's been that and he's never left me. Even when I've felt alone, he's always there and he's been guiding me. And you walk through your testimony, you walk through scriptures, you walk through things that really mean something to you. Now go sing.
mm.
Now you don't have to pretend, you don't have to, and I think a lot of times people put on this, I think they misuse the sacrifice of praise scripture to just put on a face.
Mm.
"Well, I don't feel like it, but I'm gonna give him praise anyway." That's great. You don't feel like it. Make sure you're not just a shell of a person when you're singing. Um, Now sometimes you've gotta move your body first for your brain and your heart and your spirit to catch up. You gotta clap, you gotta raise your voice, you gotta do that before you get on stage. Do that in the green room. Do whatever you gotta do to give yourself the best, um, chance of really feeling it and believing it when you're on stage, because the best way to make someone hungry is to eat in front of them.
Mm.
Eddie James said that. That's the best advice I've ever gotten when it comes to leading worship. That if they see you dining with God, that's what's going to lead them to want to do the same thing. Not if they see you smile and with your eyes open and you're like doing the right little exhortation lines in between things, just because you are putting it on, because that's what a good worship leader does, speaking from experience.
Yeah.
That's not as attractive as when you're genuinely doing all of those things
Mm.
from the source of dining with the Lord.
I chuckled when you said with your eyes open, because I was a production director at a spot to where, I kid you not, if someone new or a guest came and they had their eyes closed, like, it was talked about in our debrief meeting the next Monday. It's like, the only thing is the eyes were closed during worship. And so that brought me right back. I don't know if that was a PTSD response, but that brought me right back to that moment, of like, the closed eyes during worship. How can a singer or a musician tell when they're performing emotion instead of living that emotion? Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and, this is just my opinion, because sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, you're still in a terrible mood when it starts and it's go
Mm,
time, and, um, the click is started and the guide says verse 1 and you gotta sing, and still there is no option of blank, even if you feel bad, you can't show that on your face. What I'm saying is do everything in your power before that happens to get in a right mind. So, when you're leading worship and you are a shell and you are putting it on versus when you are focused and you are emotionally connected to what you're singing and you feel from a genuine place. The
mm,
goal is to always get to that genuine place. And if you feel like crap, the work is in the green room. The work is in the morning when you're getting there. And it's hard work, man. And here's the thing, if you don't do it, most likely no one's going to say anything.
mhm,
It's not gonna get talked about. It's not like you're going on and it's obvious and it's a train wreck. It's not a train wreck. A bunch of churches and a bunch of worship leaders do it every single Sunday, and everything's working out for it. You know what I
mm,
mean?
mm.
So, um, you know, I mean, from just personal experience, for years, that's all I did was just put on the face, and for me, it was a motivation of, man, I hope I'm doing this right. I hope everyone else is approving of the way that I'm leading worship. That was it
Mm.
for me for years. I like 2 or 3 years, after Idol and, like, probably, I mean, let's see, what's 26? Probably between 2022 and 2024, 25, beginning of 25. That's all I had. So I'm speaking from experience.
That's really, really good. I want to run a concept by you and get your input on it. So when we would coach worship leaders, or volunteers, this was at it was a pretty large church, multi-sites, and 5 services on a weekend and that whole thing. So resources were there. There was a bar for worship and talent that was at a certain level. And in terms of trying to coach authenticity or coach a relationship or coach exactly what you're talking about, the internal work before you ever step on stage or before you sing the songs, a big thread that we would try to use would be coaching people to tie their story to the song that they're singing and the music that they're singing. So we've asked that one question: how has God actually shown up in your story in this way before anyone ever steps on a stage or as a set list are rolling out, like team equip nights? That was the biggest question we would ask. Like, one, do you believe that that's a tool that can be used? And two, if so, how would you personally connect your story to what you're singing in worship?
Yeah, 100% that is the method that I go to, and coach myself. Exactly what you just said. What does this mean to you? And actually, I use the same questions that I've been taught to ask in acting when I'm approaching a scene, when I'm approaching a song.
Mm,
So, what is this instead of scene, I'll just say song. What is this song about? You need to be able to tell me in one sentence what this song's about. If you don't, okay, cool. Let's start there.
mm,
Um, 2, read through the lyrics and make sure you know what everything means. Just those 2 things alone, not even connecting it to your personal story yet. Just you'd be shocked, maybe you wouldn't, at how many people could not answer those 2 questions about
mm,
any song that they're leading. There are you could bring up a phrase. I remember I was coaching a guy who was singing, um, "Christ is my firm foundation,"
mm,
and I and he sounded like $1,000,000, was fantastic, very talented, and just I'm a fan of his voice. And I finished, I was like, "Sweet." And I'm thinking in my head, I don't have anything technical to coach him on. And so I just asked him, um, "What do you mean when you say Christ is your firm foundation? What do you mean by that?" And he was like, hmm. I was like, "Oh, this is the first time you've thought of that." And he's like, "Yeah, I never really thought of that." All right. there's there's a pain point for us here. Like there's a point that has to be fixed. And even if he just said, "Well, he's the rock on which I stand." It's like he's the or just said that in a different way. It's like, "Well, it's he's my firm foundation. He's where everything is built." Everything's built on Christ in your life? Tell me more.
mm,
How is that? Everything like what? And what has that done? Um, he had nothing, you know? So just doing those 2 things will revolutionize a worship leader. If they just what is this song about? And they can say it, what the song's about in like a thesis statement, like 1 or 2 sentences. And then 2, make sure you know what all the words mean. And they can mean different things to different people.
yeah.
Um, and then 3, who is this song about? And most of the time people would be like, well, every song's about God, but that's that's not necessarily true. Some songs are about God and all they're doing is like you would see in the Bible, like lauding him, praising him, exalting him, saying how great he is. There's all kinds of examples of that in the Bible. That's about God. Some songs are about me. When I'm singing, I give myself away.
Mm,
I'm giving myself away to God, but the song's about me. There might be a song that I can't relate to very strongly, or I can kind of, like Reckless Love. I remember singing that and thinking back on my life about how he's relentlessly pursued me. Yeah, I'm sure he has, and that's great. And I could go deep there and then feel that, and that would be the way I sing the song, and I'd connect with that, and everything would be great. But also, when I was leading that song, my mom had just
mm,
found God for the first time, and it changed her life at, you know, 50 something. And then when I would think about her with those lyrics, as if singing from her perspective, oh, buddy, the passion and
mm,
the connection that I had to that song when I made the song about her, different world. Because we are set free, we overcome and we're set free by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Our testimony. That means your testimony,
mm.
my testimony, my mom's testimony. So sometimes we can connect to a song by thinking of our friend or a family member's testimony or a story we've heard of another testimony. So who's the song about? Um,
Hmm.
what is this song saying? What is this song about in 1 or 2 sentences? And what do all the words mean, and make sure they all mean something to you. And then one exercise that I do to really hammer this home is I will journal, if I'm struggling to connect to a song, I'll write the first line, and then I will journal about that one line and how it relates to me, or how it relates to my mom, or
Mm,
how it relates to God and my experience with him in my life. Second line, I do the same thing. And when I'm done, I'll have 10 pages of thoughts and journaling moments with every single line has this little paragraph underneath. And man, if I'm asked to say something before the song starts, I got plenty of stuff. If I'm
mm.
asked to pray afterwards, I got plenty of stuff to talk about. If I'm asked to do a devotion in the green room, I got plenty of stuff to talk about. That's how deep we should be connected to the songs that we're singing. And if we are, we don't have to worry about being like, make sure I'm focused, make sure I'm authentic. We don't even have to think about that stuff because we're already in the right place.